White House economic advisor Jared Bernstein, our guest here from the White House to discuss this jobs data, where we go from here. Thank you for joining us.
Sure.
So let's pick up on that last point Mike mentioned. Can you elaborate? Might we need a second stimulus? What is the administration discussing right now?
Certainly nothing in the area of a second stimulus. We still have a lot more left from the first stimulus, both in terms of funds to obligate. It's about halfway through by that measure, but also in terms of jobs yet to come. The stimulus has saved or created about 1 million jobs so far. And by the way, that's not just our estimate. Outside estimators come up with that number as well. There's about 2.5 million of those jobs to come over the course of the next year. But at the same time, we recognize the need, and this is not new. This is not something that we've just started thinking about this morning. For a long time, the president has encouraged our economic team to bring all the good ideas we can to the table. We continue to look at them, including investing in infrastructure, some tax incentives to help people pay for weatherization or retrofits. Good jobs here, as well as perhaps credits for business to help offset some of the cost of hiring.
Does the worse than expected jobs number this morning, the unemployment figure, encourage the administration to release the balance of that stimulus sooner rather than later? And also, second part, if you could give me a specific example on how the balance of the stimulus would create a new job. What type of job?
Sure, great. Let me start with the second one first. One of the things we learned from the recipient reports that the guy speaking before me was talking about was that while the education, some of the education funding has gotten into the economy quickly and helped save or create, probably mostly save in this count, well over 300,000 jobs in education, many of the infrastructure projects are just getting up and running. The majority of these projects, we actually have information from the recipients telling us about how the projects are unfolding. The vast majority of those projects are just getting started. Now, we got about 80,000 construction jobs from these recipients that they told us about, but I think that's where you're going to see a lot more job creation from the Recovery Act moving forward. Infrastructure, construction, some of those kinds of
Jared, does the money
sectors.
get released sooner?
I think that the time release component built in to the Recovery Act really has this right. I mean, we didn't get into this mess overnight, and as you can see, it's going to be unfolding over the course of the next few quarters as well. So I think the fact that the stimulus, we've got about half of the stimulus punch left to come, spending out toward the end of next year, I think that actually makes sense. Now, as the president has stressed, we may need to do more on top of that, and that's what we've been talking about.
We know unemployment lags economic recovery, but economists are saying that this is turning out to be a jobless recovery. What does the administration say about that? Do you buy that description?
You know, not really. It's really a technical thing for economists to talk about. From our perspective, it's an oxymoron. I mean, a recovery without jobs is not a recovery that we would recognize, or for that matter, that the American people would recognize. So our job is not to, crystal ball about what kind of recovery this is or isn't. It's to squeeze every job out of every dollar in the Recovery Act and to aggressively pursue every other good idea that's going to help jumpstart the job creation machine in our private sector.
White House economic advisor Jared Bernstein, thanks so much for joining us this hour. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.